Hey brother VC, it's Andy Cloudy Mulder, and today for you a lucky lot, we are diving back to 1988 albums in my collection. Arguably one of the best years for metal. You can argue with me in the comments if you want. Doesn't necessarily contain my favourite albums from the decade, but looking through what I have, there are some absolute bangers in here, and I'm going to show everything that I've got from that year, and it is probably the year I've got the most from. So we're going to do the same thing that we've done before. I'm going to flip the camera, and I've got them in a wee box that I'm just going to flip through, and there's 3 phases to this because there's so many albums, but try not to dwell on them too much, but you know, can't help myself sometimes. Thanks to all the new subscribers I've had this week. Always great to have new people on board. If you like this series and you want to see more, give us a like and all that good stuff. As you see, I hadn't really planned to do all the sort of even numbers first, but what I wanted to do was just jump about, so it's not just a serial, one year after the other, because that's quite boring. So I wanted to try and mix it up. But I do seem to have been doing all the even years first from the decade. So let's jump in. This is my collection from 1988. Okay, Acid Rain, Moshkin Stein, great UK thrash metal EP. Lost It All, Versity, Canadian thrash metal band. This is not actually that great an album, bit of a blind buy, but yeah, some you win, some you lose. Aerosmith Gems. This is one of my original 80s collection I had when I was a teenager. Compilation album. Agony, the first Defiance. And I think these guys are Swiss. I always want to say they're Italian, and I don't know why, but I think they may be Swiss. Under One Flag, the UK distribution, thrash metal distribution of Music for Nations. This is a really good album. I like that one. Those of you who know my channel well know all about my story about skipping school to queue up and be the first in the queue. In fact, the only one in the queue on the day of release. And this is my original copy. Anthrax, State of Euphoria. We have Apocalypse, self-titled, another Under One Flag, thrash metal again. Great song title. Apocrypha, The Eyes of Time, quite heavily on the guitar nooling on this one. Good album then. Armored Saint live, Saints Will Conquer. Obviously a live EP, just 6 tracks on it. At their peak in the 80s. I've got 2 copies of this. This is Arch, Another Return. This is the UK pressing. Spot the difference. This is the US pressing, and it's called Another Return to Church Hill. They dropped the To Church Hill bit on the UK one for some reason, and had this VCLT from Scott Waters some time ago. Now, Banshee Cry in the Night. I bought this when I was in the States. I was working out there, and I had a meetup in Boston, and with Boston Rob Paniques, Bitbot Boom John, and Guy Helmet Dickey, who doesn't make videos anymore, unfortunately. But that was a great day out, and John thrust this one into my hand and told me I had to buy it, so I did, and I didn't regret it. Great band. This was VCLT, I think, from Greg the Egg. Oh no, it wasn't actually. He did send me a copy of this, Canadian copy. I think I gave it on, passed it on in VCLT because I found a Music for Nations copy when I was hell bent on collecting the first 100. So Baron Cross, Christian metal. Some doom metal, Candlemass Tales of Creation, also a Music for Nations release. I'm not a big fan of Candlemass, I have to say. I thought I would be more into them than I am, but there we go. Can't like everything. Chastain, the voice of the cult, a fairly recent pickup of this one. Chastain is best when he is playing with a band. Leather Leone on vocals. Killer album. I've not actually played this one yet. This was a fairly recent pickup as well. It's Chrome Molly and Angst. I do know the album well from back in the day, but only recently found a copy on vinyl. Saw these live a few years ago, actually. They're still going. Cinderella, Long Cold Winter. I've heard a lot of people say this is their favourite Cinderella album, or it's better than the first album. I don't really buy it. I only really need the night songs from Cinderella, and this is one I just never play. A little bit too bluesy for my liking. Now, this is a tremendous album. This is Crimson Glory and Transcendence. Transcendence. It's not actually that hard a word to say when you stop thinking about it, is it? This is a killer. This is great LP as well. Kind of like a sort of a power metal vibe to it. Another one of my 80s originals here. David Lee Roth with Skyscraper. I've always kind of struggled. I have a love-hate with it. I love it because I bought it as a teenager, and then because I bought it, I had to play it because it was that probably would have been my new album of the month. It's got a couple of good tracks on here, but as an album as a whole, I don't really like it, but it's I'm keeping it because I keep all my 80s stuff that I've got. I kind of never see myself getting rid of that stuff. Death Angel, Frolic in the Park. I used to hold this album in such high esteem, and then I did that thrash metal follow-ups with the boys from Contact in Blood, and it just didn't grip me at all. Oh dear. Now, this is brand new. You've not seen this one on an update yet, and it will be on an update soon. I only got this a week or so ago. So this is Death Wish's second album, Demon Preacher, UK thrash metal, but it's kind of it's heavy metal thrash metal rather than straight up thrash metal, but punky lyrics, vocals as well. It's killer. I love it. Dead Engine, Hold a Grudge. This guy here kind of looks like Shane McGowan's younger brother. This is a great album. Straight up heavy metal. What's not to like? Dirty Looks, Cool from the Wire. Very sort of AC/DC vibe to it, but better than AC/DC, if you ask me. I think there's just a little bit more variety in the songwriting, but great album. Dogs to More, Into the Dynamite Jet Saloon, what I had on tape back in the 80s, and was delighted to. I think I've only picked this up this year to find a copy in really decent condition, but absolutely love Dogs to More. Probably more than Cinderella. I mean, then I don't know, can you compare them with Cinderella? I guess they're not really the same sort of genre, but if you kind of like melancholy songs about drinking too much and losing your girlfriend as a result, then that's the band for you. Dokken Beast from the East. I've only recently started to appreciate Dokken. I need to get Tooth and Nail, but this is a decent live album. Enjoyed listening to this one recently. Flotsam and Jetsam, No Place for Disgrace. This is pretty much where I drop off Flotsam and Jetsam. Just a band that's never really gripped me. Love the first two albums, but beyond that, I've yet to click. Girls' School, Take a Bite. This was them trying to get back some credibility after selling out and going to the States and not really, basically doing a pop album. But this is a good album. Some good tracks on here. My original GNR Lies. This has I think it's the band in a sleeve. The nudie one. Live Like a Suicide. It's like a double A, so I think. But You're Crazy, One in a Million, used to love her. Yeah, it's cool. I played that a lot when I was a kid. Loved it. And the last three in here are all the same. So we've got 3 versions of Appetite for Destruction. We have the band cover, the replacement cover, both with hype stickers as well. I didn't realise that I've forgotten that they had the ones with hype stickers. Yep, same on the back. And the more recent, 30th anniversary, remastered, reloaded, what have you. This sounds absolutely superb. The album itself is a bit long to be on one disc, and this splits it across 3 sides, which is it just sounds absolutely perfect. So if you can find a copy of this, I would thoroughly recommend it. There we go. Hades, If at First You Don't Succeed. Great US thrash, B-tier thrash, but still, it's well worth checking out if you come across a copy of that. And Berlin from Hellion, Postcards from the Asylum, Music for Nations release, number 82. Yeah, just an EP this time. But, I think that was their kind of comeback album after a number of issues with the label and the band. Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 2 needs no introduction. Pioneers of European power metal, but you knew that. Hellstar, A Distant Thunder. Texas heavy metal. Great album, great band. Another one that you've not seen yet, a recent pickup. This is actually a reissue of Mind Wars by Holy Terror, their second album. I'll let you know my thoughts about that in an upcoming update. And then we have a lot of people's, but definitely not mine, favourite Iron Maiden album, and which I just don't get at all, to be honest with you. It's a good album. It's another one of those I bought. Whereas people are still now, when Iron Maiden release an album, say they just want them to go back to their galloping guitars. I was like that with this album, but I grew to love it over time. So this is my OG that I bought when it originally came out. And this is the 2014 reissue. I missed showing the 2014 reissue of Somewhere in Time in my last video, and I got called out on it straight away. You guys are always on top of me, keeping me honest. So I made sure that the reissue got pulled out this time. Another much maligned album, with the exception of I mean, what a hype sticker. One of the worst cover versions in heavy metal history, and they're going to stick it on the hype sticker. What can you say? But I enjoy this period of Judas Priest, this and Turbo. I just think there's some really good songs on there, and yeah, it's not that, it's not the pre and post new wave of British heavy metal sound that they were going for, or the harder Painkiller era and the full on metal that they're back to now. But songs like Blood Red Skies, Rabbit Down's a great song. I'm not gonna review this album, but give it a chance if you haven't. I think it's still a quality album. Killer Dwarfs, A Big Deal. Just clicked with this album this year. I just pulled it out, random pull. Didn't think much of it the first time around, but again, quality album. Very, very good. Canadian. Kingdom Come's debut album. This got a lot of shit at the time because it just sounded like Led Zeppelin apparently, but never been into Led Zeppelin, but I do like Kingdom Come. And another 2 of the same here. So this is Living Colour with Vivid. They were a shot in the arm back then. Nobody sounded like them, or certainly that I was aware of. So this is a US pressing. So I got this one as VCLT a long time ago from Corey. What's his channel name now? Corey's is it Corey's VC channel? Something like that. I can't remember. And this was the UK copy that I already had. Again, the same. It's just got different address on it at the bottom. This one is London, UK pressing. I might give that one a spin. I've not heard that one in ages. Now here's some Scottish metal for you. Licks Loose on You. This was a blind buy, but I bought it because it said it was recorded in Edinburgh, which is now my hometown. It's good. It's kind of like it's not full on heavy metal, and it's not kind of glam metal. It's a little bit raw, but it's it rocks. Licks rocks. And this one I also got given as VCLT from John Bitbop Boom. This is a I think they're a German metal band that Aaron the Metal Theologian had certainly a hand, I think, in releasing this one. It's another one I'm actually going to leave out and give a spin. I've not heard this for quite some time, but Beer and Jesus Records, BJ1. Love it. Oh, it's numbered as well. There we go. So 41 of 300. Okay. Last box. Magnum Wings of Heaven. I'm a massive Magnum fan. I've got the first 12 or so albums from the 70s all the way up to 1990 on vinyl. But this is one of my least favourite ones, I have to say. It's just not a favourite one. Let's move on. Mallet Head. God, these guys Canadian? Just kind of straight up heavy metal. I think they may be Canadian. It's on Roadrunner. Yeah, good album. Just Mallet Head, self-titled. You had to spot there, didn't you? Man of War, Kings of Metal. It's Man of War. What's not to like? Still in the 80s and still rocking. Lots of great songs about metal. Mean Streak, another Music for Nations. This is all-female thrash band. Definitely worth checking out. Really, really good. Produced by or engineered by Alex Perialis. So good pedigree on that one. One that needs no introduction with another dodgy cover version on. So far, so good. So what? I've got the Anarchy in the UK shaped picture disc. Terrible song. No idea why I bought that. Bought that back in the day. A Stone Cold classic, Metallica and Justice for All. Not my favourite Metallica album, but honestly one of my favourite albums of all time. Absolutely killer. This is an album I can't really tolerate anymore. I played it a lot when I was, 17, 18, when it came out. And I've had this since it came out. Thought it was hilarious back in the day. But I don't know, just it's not that great. Novelty value for sure. Omen, Escape to Nowhere. I'm not actually sure where this sits in their catalogue. I've only got a couple of Omen albums, and this is the latest one I think I've got of theirs. So you have to let me know in the comments where this one fits in. My attempt in 1988 to get into Ozzy. Was never a fan of Ozzy. I'm not that big a fan of his stuff now. I have a few albums, but I bought this in 88 and didn't like it, and it wasn't until I started reviving my vinyl collection in the last sort of 7 or 8 years that I started playing it and realised that I really actually do like it, and it's probably my favourite Ozzy album now, which just goes to show that obviously I'm not that big an Ozzy fan, but some good songs on it. Not an album I think that's going to stay in my collection. So I bought the first two Poison albums in a eBay bundle because the first one's on Music for Nations, and it cost me about £6 for the two of them, but not a band I'm into at all. Pretty Boy Floyd. It's not that Pretty Boy Floyd. I thought it was that Pretty Boy Floyd, but it's not. It's a different Pretty Boy Floyd. This is Bullets and Lipstick. It's a pretty decent album though, but it's just not that Pretty Boy Floyd. one of my favourite album covers of all time. If I ever do a favourite album covers of all time, do you want to see that? I don't know. Let me know if you do. Then you would see this album in there. This is Rage, Perfect Man. I just absolutely love that album. Even if the album was terrible, I would have bought it just for the cover. Raven, doing what Raven do. Again, a bit like Girl School after being kind of forced to sell out for the US market. Nothing Exceeds Like Excess was a return to form for John and Mark, and let's see, Joe Hasselvender. So he was the drummer after Wacko, wasn't he? Yes. Sacrilege, BC, British Columbia had to change their name because there was another UK thrash band called Sacrilege. Good album. One of my least favourite periods of Saxon, sort of late 80s. This is Destiny. A little bit wishy-washy for me. A couple of good songs on there, but they probably sound better when they play them live, if they ever do now, than they do on that album. Slayer, South of Heaven, for a long time was my go-to Slayer album. Now it's kind of on the fence with this and Seasons of the Abyss, but yep, South of Heaven, OG copy. Sonic Plague, I mentioned Helmut Diggy earlier on that same trip to Boston. He also gave me this album, and this is a band I think he has some connection with when he was younger. It's kind of it's cool sort of thrash metal band. In fact, I'm going to give that one a spin as well. Not heard that one for ages. My favourite Suicidal Tendencies album. Now, this would be in my top 25 albums if I did one of those. Do you want to see one of those videos as well? Why not do some marketing while I'm showing some records? How Will I Laugh Tomorrow When I Can't Even Smile Today? It's a perfect album for me, this. This is not a perfect album. It's pretty... it's a bit poor, shall we say. Taramis, Queen of Thieves, Australian metal. It's... yeah, the vocals are pretty poor. Testament, The New Order, a lot of people's favourite Testament album. Not mine, but I couldn't really argue against somebody who put this as top of their list. It's a fantastic follow-up album to the legacy. Some UK thrash. This is the Bastard Ballads EP from Toranaga. This is quality. Definitely check out Toranaga if you haven't already. They've kind of got a little bit of a Testament vibe to them as well. One of my favourite compilations, Stars on Thrash. I bought this back in the day. I also have this on a flexi disc, 7-inch flexi disc that had about 10 seconds of each of those songs. You can see the who's on here now, and this was my introduction to a lot of these bands. Certainly Snow White. And who was the other big one for me at the time? Maybe Hades as well, with Opinionate. But Slayer scared me at the time. I didn't like Slayer at all. This one's seen better days, but try finding a decent copy, OG, of Violence, Eternal Nightmare. Kind of it's all just a little bit thin and fragile, so I keep this is the one occasion where I keep the record outside of the sleeve, and I've also got like a stiffener in there as well. But Killer Thrash, more Killer Thrash, Virus, Force Recon. Saw them on the 30th anniversary tour of this recently. Still going strong, Virus. This is a great album, I've got to say. One of the jewels in the UK thrash metal crown. Warfare, another UK thrash metal band. These are interesting. They're a 3-piece, and Evo, one of those rare occurrences where the drummer is also the vocalist, and Kronos from Venom's had a fair amount of in fact, it's got Mantis on this one, guest guitars. It does have saxophone on here as well, which is a bit weird. But yeah, Warfare are good. They're worth checking out if you haven't before. From the rawness, punkiness of Warfare to the rawness, still slightly punkiness, but more hair metal side of Wrathchild UK and The Biz Sucks. He's even got a Ramones t-shirt on this guy, but they have got a sort of a Ramonesy rhythm to their songs. It's okay. It's entertaining stuff. Yngwie J. Malmsteen's Rising Force. I love all the 80s Yngwie stuff. This is with Jolene Turner. I saw them live actually when they were touring this album, so I've always got a bit of a soft spot for this one. And then last couple into the Zeds. Zediago From Over Yonder. I really don't get pirate metal, but I love this album. Absolutely superb. Female fronted vocals. Also female fronted vocals. Snow White, Act of God. This is a fantastic thrash metal album. With Nick Oldie on vocals. But as I say, introduced to this band through the Stars on Thrash comp. And last but not least, and an album worthy to end any collection video that I may have. One of my favourites, Zodiac Mind Warp and the Love Reaction, Tattooed, Beat Messiah, sleazy, rocky, dirty, straight up good fun heavy metal. Absolutely love this album. If you are not familiar with Zodiac Mind Warp and the Love Reaction, do yourself a favour and get familiar. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. That's 1988 done. If you're following the pattern of everything that goes on, you'll probably guess that 1982 will be next. Thanks for watching. Thanks to all the subscribers I've had this week. It's been great to have some new people on board. Please do leave a comment. Let's have a chat in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourites are from 88, and again, which are some of the big hitters that you think I may be missing. Thanks all. Bye now.